I am Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And I want to take this opportunity to be with you and have a conversation one-to-one about subjects that I think are very important to our lifestyle, to the way we perform, and mainly to our health and longevity, which is something that worries all. When you ask people, do you want to live 100 years? Many people will say yes, probably the majority. But then you have the big but. But if I'm in good shape. And that's exactly what we talk about on all these programs. I'm the medical director of a hospital that works holistically. What does that mean? That means that we integrate everything we know according to the medical information, but we incorporate everything we have learned through years and centuries of health keeping by all the peoples of the world trying to keep us healthy. And then when the new medication, when the new procedures, when the new modalities came about, we just integrate them. But we don't make aside the wealth of experience, the wisdom of a lot of the things that our ancestors used to do to be healthy. You know why? Because they worked. They worked then and they work today. We're not any different than Egyptians 5,000 years ago. We're the same human being, probably in a total different environment, and that environment might not be the best for our health and survival. So we try to analyze all that, and when you bring it to medical care, you bring it to BioCare Hospital, when you can integrate a lot of the good modalities, a lot of the very good procedures that people used to do, like fever therapy, like oxidative therapies, like cell therapy, etc. Things that were done 50, 100, 200, 5,000 years ago. And they were good for the body. So if we keep all that in mind, and then we add to the things that we can do in a hospital, like intravenous therapy, for example. We can go through intravenous alimentation, which is feeding. We can go to target supplementation. We can put in your body what we need there today, not in 3 weeks or 3 months. So with all that possibility, just putting it all together, just complement each other, we're able to do a lot more things, more successful, less costly, and important, just bring back health. Healing is what we want to bring. Healing is a word that has literally been forgotten. We just try to control, to more or less glide through problems, to more or less get some well-being or something, but we don't think of healing, and healing is our ultimate goal. Healing is bring your health back to the condition it was before any disease set on your body. So that means you feel good, you function well, and you're going to have a long, healthy, very productive life. That's what we're talking about. So when we have that experience in that hospital, we can put a lot of things together. But before you get to that point, and that's the most important message, is that there are a lot of things that we can do not to be there. If ancient management of health has been successful then, and it can be successful today, why don't we start it all right now, today? I'm going to give you, on this program, I'm going to be talking about something that has worried me for the last 20, 30 years. When I was in medical school, and I have been a doctor for over 50 years, so you're not talking about 300 years ago, you're just talking about 50 years ago. When I was in medical school, osteoporosis, which is the condition that we are going to address today, was a not very frequent word. You saw osteoporosis as the end result of certain hormonal disorders or certain serious illnesses. But you didn't talk about osteoporosis as a day-to-day conversation. It was not a word that you would discuss in your office or in the supermarket with other people or with friends. It was a real serious medical condition, usually secondary to another important disease. That is what osteoporosis was then. Today, we all talk about it. Number one, if you told people about osteoporosis 50 years ago, I'm sure more than half of them would say, osteo what? It was not common lingo. We didn't use it. But today, osteoporosis is very frequent. We watch it on TV all the time. We watch it on conversation. We see it with workers in the place where we go to work, etc. So we see it with everybody. And then they tell you, well, I have osteoporosis, my mother has osteoporosis, somebody has osteoporosis. And that brings the idea of what is happening. If you follow the way I think, I'm looking for an explanation of why a barely known condition, very infrequent, a word that we didn't use, has become common language in about 50 years. Something is happening. This cannot be because we're living longer, because we're this or the other. Something is happening in our population that we're seeing more and more osteoporosis. Another very important fact, we see more osteoporosis in the developed societies. America is the perfect example. In the United States, the number of people with osteoporosis is growing and growing and growing in terms of population. So it is not that we're living longer, it's that we're seeing it more frequent and at younger ages. So early onset osteoporosis is becoming a trend that we should stop, that we can stop, that we can change. Now, something that you probably know, white women are the most frequent host of the disease. So white women are probably more than half of all the cases, if not more. Men can suffer osteoporosis, but not nearly as frequent. And that brings us to something. That brings us to why women have it more than men. And of course, the biggest difference that we can observe is a different hormonal condition, a total different hormonal situation. And postmenopausal women develop osteoporosis in a growing number, which means it is definitely connected to menopause. So as we approach menopause, as we develop all these symptoms, as we start getting into problems, we are going to see more and more osteoporosis. Now, one little word about prevention. Number one, osteoporosis can be prevented, can be minimized, can be handled a lot better. Number two, if you're going to start dealing with osteoporosis the same moment you develop symptoms, you are doing it too late. Osteoporosis takes many years, probably 20 years to develop. So if you're going to start dealing with osteoporosis when you're 55 and you already are showing symptoms and your doctor tells you that you're bone structure is not what it should be, etc., and then you decide, I have to do something about it, you are starting late. Nevertheless, it's important that you do it, because you're going to help. But if we're talking prevention, we have to start a lot earlier. We have to talk to our girls about it. We have to tell our adolescents, our young girls, about it and say, look, there's going to be a time where you're going to reach menopause, and one of the side effects could be this. Now, you don't have to suffer all the ravages of this disease if you start early planning your life. And that goes for everything. If a young person starts planning, has a health plan for living, he's going to avoid a lot of ravages from disease. But for that, they need us. They need an adult to tell them what could happen and how you can stop that from happening. You see how important it is that you listen to this message, because that person you love the most, your daughter, your granddaughter, could start changing her future because a good piece of advice. When you have a good plan and you share it with everybody and you talk about it, this is the first thing. You talk about it at home. You get home and you say, you know, I heard about osteoporosis, and I heard that it affects women a lot more than men, that it affects post-menopausal, that it has to do with a lot of things. But the most important thing is that if you start early, taking care of all the changes that are going to happen, then you're going to have a lot more chances to avoid the disease or to have it very light. You might have something very light that could be very easily, inexpensively treated and managed. And that's where I want to get. Before you think of anything else, let's think of prevention. So don't go anywhere. Let's keep on talking about this very important subject that can help the life of people you really love. You are with Dr. Rodriguez, Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And we've been talking today about osteoporosis. We're talking about a condition that is becoming more and more prevalent. That used to be a rare situation that was the end result of very complicated diseases like parathyroid hormone problems or other sort of degenerative diseases, some of the really serious malnutrition cases that we don't see anymore, thank goodness, in our, at least in our immediate world. And all those conditions brought you to a situation where bones could not be functional anymore, could not be done in the best way possible, that they were faulty, that they were brittle, that were giving a lot of problems. And so that was the condition that we had then. But now we see it more and more, and we see it in many women, particularly. And every time I talk osteoporosis, I have to talk about women, because women are the vast majority of the cases. Even though, be aware that men can also get osteoporosis, but that is normally the answer to another serious condition. So, but women just get it out of nowhere. You see women that function very well, that are very happy, living their lives, etc. And all of a sudden they start getting these pains or problems. And the worst part is when they fall and when they have some sort of a trauma and the bone breaks in a condition where it wouldn't break. Many times a minor problem, you slip without even falling, and you have a fracture. What's happening? And you go to the doctor, and the doctor tells you, you have osteoporosis. So let's analyze a little bit what is osteoporosis so you can understand. You know, this body of ours, really created in perfection, has a structural support that keeps it up and standing. It's like a building. When you look at a building, particularly when they're building them, you see all those beams, all those iron beams that are creating the structure of that huge body. And actually, same as in the human body, the walls are supported by that structure. When we began building houses 300, 500, 800 years ago, look at Westminster Cathedral, for example, the walls were the support of the building because they were built with stone. And over those walls, you would put everything else. You created a building. But particularly since the beginning of the 1900s, we saw a change and we looked more that type of a building. We started building with beams, iron beams. Why did we use iron? Because when you have a building, think of a building, let's say it's moving with the air. Well, the iron has a lot of capacity and elasticity to move along with the building without breaking. It's very good for that. It has a lot of elasticity. And if you pull, it has a lot of resistance. You can do a lot of things. Think of a rebar. If you have a rebar and you pull it, it's very strong. But then, what? Then you need something that's going to support the weight. As you build the walls, as you build the floors, as you pour concrete on all the floors and so on, the weight of the building is going to increase. And then the pressure on those structures is going to be very big. And iron is not very good for that. It needs something that can resist pressure. So what we do? Well, around those beams, we pour concrete. Because concrete is very good for pressure. It can resist a lot of weight. However, when you pull it, it's not very good. It can break. Even a stone, think of a stone. It can take a lot of weight on, but it will not be able to be pulled apart without breaking. But when you combine the two together, then you have a miracle. You have a structure, just like the bone, that is able to handle tension and is able to handle pressure and can be very functional and very good. And the way we build that structure is we use rebar and we use concrete. The rebar is a protein called collagen. We all have heard of collagen. We talk about it with our skin. You can see a young person, how everything stands in place, and nothing is shaggy, nothing is dropping, nothing is... A young person is just beautiful. And when you look at them, you see everything in its place. Why? Because they have a lot of collagen. And those collagen fibers are holding everything in place. But as we age, we start losing some of that collagen, and then everything starts sagging. If you're my age, you know what I'm talking about. Well, the same thing happens with the bones. We just create all this collagen, and then we pour concrete in them. And that concrete is made out of minerals. And the most important mineral in there is calcium. We know that. We know that calcium goes to the bones. You don't have to be a doctor to know that. You know that calcium gets in the bones, and that's what makes it hard. That's what makes our teeth, and so on. So all these hard structures are actually mineral structures, just like the stone in Westminster Cathedral. So that stone that we have created with calcium, magnesium, and other minerals is going to be the other big important factor. So you have the two. The rebar, a protein called collagen, and the concrete, which is a mineral composition of which calcium is the most notorious, the most well-known, and certainly the most abundant component of that structure. What happens is that we develop a bone through bone activity. Remember, there is a very famous saying that we use for every function in the body: use it or lose it. If we don't do anything, if we don't move, if we don't, etc., we're going to lose our muscle mass. If we don't use any organ for whatever reason, again, let's say that we are sedentary, the day we want to run, our heart is going to have problem catching up with the effort. So as we stop using some function of the body, we start losing the capacity of that function. Which means if we want to keep a good muscle structure, we have to continue moving, we have to continue going to the gym, we have to continue doing physical activity. And the same thing is for the bone. And the bone, of course, is very related to physical activity. I don't have to tell you. The strength of the bone is related to both physical activity and weight support. Think of those two things and think the way you live. We have a cart, we have a jack, we have a lot of things for everything. But we don't chop wood, we don't carry laundry for any extension of distance. We have machines to do a lot of things. We don't broom, we don't muddy lawn, we have a lot of things done for us. And we don't carry any weight. We hardly carry any weights anymore, because that's our lifestyle. And as if we have lost all those things, then we lose the physiological need of the body to keep very strong bones. You don't need it. Don't do a lot of effort. When you look at the microscope, when you look at the bone structure, the fibers of collagen go in the direction that you use the most effort. Let's say you're a pitcher. You play baseball and you're a pitcher. The bone structure of your right arm is going to develop differently. And your bones are going to have lines of collagen in the direction where you demand effort. Which means we create our organs according to our own need. We have the capacity to change the structure of our bodies to fit the needs we demand. If we sit at the office, if we lay at couch, if we go and do errands on a car, we're demanding nothing. We're not asking our body to do anything. So our body loses the track. The body doesn't know in what direction they should strengthen a muscle or a bone, because we simply do not really use it. And to carry an ice cream cone or to eat popcorn, you don't need any effort. So you're doing nothing for your bones. So you have to remember two things. use it or lose it. And the second, very important, is that we have the bone structure that we demand, the one that we ask for, not the one we should have. So if our effort, if our activity does not ask from any part of our body any effort, that part of the body is going to start going down. It's getting interesting, so I want you to be with me. You are with Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital, and I'm very happy talking about osteoporosis. Why am I happy? Because I think I'm sharing with you information that can let you be aware and vigilant of a condition that you can prevent, particularly if you start very early. And by early, I mean when you're a young girl, when you're a teenager, that's a fantastic time to start. Then, but the only way you're going to do it is with information, if you know about it. So when you develop osteoporosis symptoms, then it might be late, or it's going to be late to prevent it. But it's going to be important for the management. But I want to send the message that this condition can be changed altogether for your future if you start very early. And the only way a young girl is going to start doing something is if we, the people that take care of our girls, tell them about it. Tell them about osteoporosis. Tell them about what they should be doing to be healthy. Now, I'm going to talk now about when we're talking prevention. There are things we can change, there are things we cannot change. One thing we cannot definitely change, we cannot do anything about it, and that's aging. Osteoporosis is connected to aging. So you say, doctor, what am I going to do? I'm 65, so or 70. You cannot do anything about it. You cannot you can prevent that. You can change that. And I say, yes, that's true. There are factors that I will not be able to change. But if you ask me, are other things within my reach, within my power, able to change the future on how osteoporosis either appears or develops? There is a definite yes as an answer. Aging you can change, but we all have seen it. I don't have to tell you. It's on the news, it's on the papers, it's everywhere. When you look at people who are 70 years old and run a marathon, or people that are 80 years old and swim God knows how many yards, or people that climb a mountain, regardless of the age, that tells you that that person is showing us that you can have a fine bone structure in spite of time. And if you ask those people how come they are so well, they're not going to give you a magic answer. They're going to tell you that they changed their lives long time ago. They started working on physical activity, they started training, they have never stopped doing it, so they have developed the muscles, the bones that they needed to reach an older age and still be able to do it. I was telling you, if you use it, you're going to create the bone structure your body demands. Now, there are other things that we have to do. Because your body, of course, when you demand a better bone structure, or you demand a better strength in your bones, you have to provide the means. And how can you provide the means if you do not eat well. And there I go again. You have to connect the health of your body to your lifestyle. We already talked about physical activity, without which you're not going to develop a healthy skeleton. But you will not be able to do it if you don't have a healthy diet. I was looking this morning at some important news. The European Union is about to have a very important control over artificial sweeteners. Why? Because they have discovered that even though if you have a sweetener just for a cup of coffee a day, nothing happens. If you have it occasionally, nothing happens. But if you take it over and over a long period of time, yes, it can have health consequences. So we have to think again. We have to eat naturally. We have to eat wholesome. We have to eat organic. We have to do all those things. Statistics begin to show that those people that prefer vegetarian regimes do better, that those people that eat Mediterranean diets do better, that those people that prefer organic products over the normal things do better. So it's telling us, the numbers are already telling us that a healthy lifestyle and a healthy nutrition plan is going to pay a big dividend. So why not start going in that direction? Why not learning about it? Why not trying new recipes? Why not learning to do this or that in a better way? Why not think of fish 2-3 times a week instead of rarely? Why don't think of leafy vegetables more? Why don't think of broccoli or cruciferous in general? We have to start thinking of all of that because all of that is going to be very important about health. And I couldn't talk about it enough if I wouldn't tell you about two things. One is calcium and the other one is vitamin D. We have to eat calcium. And you will not have a good source of calcium if you don't eat certain type of foods. And one of them, very important, is fish. The other one is liver. British people love liver. And again, good green leafy vegetables. So when we start saying that we get all this calcium in the bones or in the body, we're going to make it available to the bones. But then you need vitamin D to bring it in. What is connected in vitamin D metabolism that happens with age? Well, you know this story. If you get enough sunlight, then you're going to produce a lot of vitamin D. Yes? No, it's part of the truth. To make vitamin D in the skin, it doesn't happen like magic. You have to eat your veggies. If you have those green leafy vegetables, you're going to have these substances under the skin that are going to turn into vitamin D. Now, there is a problem. As we grow older, and we know a lot of things start coming down, one of the things that is reduced is the ability of the skin to turn these products into vitamin D. So if you needed 15 minutes of sunlight before, now you might need an hour. So as we age, our ability to produce vitamin D goes down. But now we can go to the doctor and say, doctor, what is my vitamin D level? And the doctor is going to take a very simple blood sample and is going to tell you you have 30. 30 is bad. But many people that I have seen have 18 or 20. When you talk about vitamin D, think of 0 to 100. So 50 would be halfway. That would be good. But under 50, you have to try to raise it to have a good vitamin D level. And vitamin D is very inexpensively available. You can get it at any supermarket. You can get it anywhere, so you can supplement it and check it in the blood to see if your vitamin D levels are good. So vitamin D is something that we have to have in mind. Calcium can also be very easily supplemented. Talk to your doctor. So those two things are very important. And the other one that we're going to need is vitamin K. Why? Because vitamin K will help calcium go to the bone. Now, you can supplement some of the vitamin K, but you know who does it for you? Your very friendly intestinal flora. If you have a good intestinal flora, your vitamin K supply is going to be guaranteed. If you don't have it, because you don't eat veggies, because you don't eat fiber, because you don't take care of it, then you're going to have a problem. But still, you can supplement it. So think of very simple things. Now, let me tell you a little bit about which are your enemies. It has been shown that when we overdo animal protein, a lot of meats, our calcium deposits go down. So yes, you can have beef, you can have pork, you can have everything, but just be reasonable. Be a little bit frugal. 8 ounce, 12 ounce at the most is a good amount for a meal. More than that could be even harmful. Refined sugar. Refined sugar will get calcium out of your system. So don't use added sugar. Take sweet things if you want, naturally sweet things, like fruit juices, natural fruit juices. If they come in a jar, they have added sugar. If you squeeze an orange, you're fine. But if you buy it from a jar in the supermarket, it has added sugar. You have to just read the label. And I have always questioned if that's really orange juice. And the next one, carbonated drinks. Why? Because carbonated drinks are made, it looks very innocent, but carbonated drinks are made with carbon dioxide. That's the gas that creates the bubbles. And when we ingest them, some of that carbon dioxide is going to turn into carbonic acid. And that carbonic acid, same as acidity created by protein, will leach calcium out of the bone. So, the question I began with, I cannot do anything about aging. Are there other things I can change? And I told you, there is a definite yes. And we have examined our lifestyle, our food, things we can supplement, things we have to avoid, and they're very simple and inexpensive advices. Any doubts? Send me an email. Call me. Look for me in any of my social media. I'll be with you. And stay here. We have still more things to talk. I have had the pleasure to be with you throughout this podcast. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. I have been a doctor for over 50 years, and I'm the founder of BioCare Hospital, which is a holistic medical environment where I can do a lot of the things that I believe in. And I believe in the power of your own body, with all its resources, to heal back. I have always believed that every time our body encounters a health challenge, we have a lot of resources to try to beat those odds and to heal back, to recover total health. That's what I truly believe. But you cannot do it if you don't give the body the chances. Let me tell you, for example, we are in a war, and somebody bombs your cities and destroys your energy sources, your airports, your everything, and then the war is over. And you will not be able to recover if you're not going to be given the means to do it. You need investment, you need work, you need man hours to rebuild everything, you need material, you need concrete, you need fuel, you need etc., etc., etc. That's what the body needs. So when I was growing up, we used a lot, or we took it rather, said a lot of advantage of all that body capacity to recover in order to let people find their way back to health. So in the old times, we didn't have antibiotics, we didn't have a lot of things, but they didn't even have x-rays, they didn't have anything, and nevertheless people survived. Why? Because they did an exhaustive use of body resources to heal back. They took very good care of fever. They took very good care of food. They did a lot of diets for different type of diseases, and they made sure that people were well hydrated and so forth. That's all the tools they had. And you and I are here just to prove that those methods were successful. Because many of your ancestors and my ancestors probably survived and were able to be our ancestor thanks to all those measures. But then there was a point where we thought that medicine had advanced so much that we didn't need them. That you just give a pill and the problem is solved. And I lived through those years. I lived through a lot of years of excitement when we thought, well, we have controlled infection, we're controlling this, we're controlling that, and the pharmaceutical ecstasies happen. We're going to find a pill for every disease. Well, 50 years after my medical graduation, I don't see it. I have lived through a lot of breakthroughs in medicine with a lot of miracle drugs that are completely forgotten because they didn't deliver what they promised they were going to deliver. So that's not the full answer. However, I have never been sorry to put a person on bed rest. I have never been sorry to take care of their diet. I have never been sorry to reestablish a healthy intestinal flora. I have never been sorry of making sure that hydration is in good shape, that nutritional support by supplementation or intravenous support is given. I have never been sorry of that. I have never had to say, gee, that was a mistake. I should have never given this vitamin to this person. So what I'm trying to tell you is that when you use your intelligence to put things together and to map things well, then you can see everything you can do for your body. And once symptoms develop, I was telling you before, it's going to be late for prevention because the disease is already there. But nevertheless, the ability to put all these things together to help the body are going to minimize the damage, are going to circumvent the damage, and are going to allow the body to recover faster, easier, less expensive, with less pain. Why not doing it? I have always said it. If I had any sort of disease and they told me this is the treatment, but if you take this little herb, you're going to feel better, I would do it. I don't have any problem with that. But you need someone that knows about it. That's why I'm not afraid to tell you that if you call you send an email, if you ask any questions, at BioCare, we're going to be ready to take care of your questions. We're going to be happy to advise you. And we're not asking you for any compensation. We feel that's our quest. Our biggest mission is to try to help you not to come to the hospital. To try to help you to make a health plan that's going to put you in better and better shape. That's going to make you stronger, more fit. Because that way, you're going to continue producing. I have always said it. You are your biggest asset. And I want that asset to continue working and providing for everybody that's under your care, or for yourself, for your own self. So when things start getting into the area of disease, then it's the time to say, I want to do something, what can I do, and ask. Another option, coming to BioCare. BioCare is not a hospital as any hospital you have been in. It's a friendly environment where you're going to review your status, your condition, where you're going to see for yourself everything. Everything is going to be put on the table before you, and you're going to be talking to your doctor and reviewing each and every value and ask questions and know more, because I really believe that information is power. And the more you understand what you're going through and what we want to do, the better sympathy we're going to have to plan a treatment for you. Or a management plan, not necessarily a treatment. Because many people that we see are not necessarily sick. We see many people that come here because they feel things are not going right. And that's the time where I love to see you. That's the type of patient that if he went to other place, they would say, no, this is not serious, just go home and wait. Wait what? We are early detectors. We love early warnings and early detection. We need surveillance, because that way we can make sure that your health is going to continue to be there for a long time. If you come 10 days to BioCare, I can tell you that for the next 10 years you're going to be in good shape following our instructions. You just have to make sure that you understand your body, and by understanding your body, you can implement and follow up programs that are going to help you to be healthy. When you're at a hospital, after full diagnosis, then we're going to do what we have to do. We're going to be working on your nutrition. And that's a word that's used very lightly, but it has a very profound impact in the way we function. It takes a lot of effort to understand that those things that we put in are the basis to what we do, what we perform. So, you're going to be getting treatments that you would not get anywhere else, like oxidative therapies, hyperbaric oxygen, ozone, etc. Intravenous targeted supplementation. Because many times what we want to do is get everything we need today in your body and not wait for things to work. We're going to be working on intestinal flora restoration. Once again, those are your friendly bacteria. If you don't love them, you don't take care of them, you're doing a big mistake. Don't disregard them. Don't take them in a nonchalant way. You have to take them very seriously. You have to make sure that your intestinal flora is well and thriving and healthy. Because a lot of things, from your immune system to your good mood, to your good night's sleep, depend on them. So once you start recovering all these things, you're going to see how a lot of things happen. And yes, you can have calcium modifiers, hormonal therapy, any sort of the new therapies that are coming along to help you cope with osteoporosis and get your health back. But you're going to do it in a friendly environment where all your questions, all your fears are going to be answered. And this is just like taking a cruise, except that instead of getting on a ship, you're coming to BioCare Hospital, and you're going to love it. And we have many people that can tell you about it, and you can go to our website or to any of our social media, and you can find a lot of people that have been here that are grateful. And one of the most common comments I get from people is, why didn't know about this before? So make sure you do your homework. Make sure you read. And any question, any comment, you can call. We have a toll-free line. We have email. We have social media of your choice, Facebook, whatever. And just ask a question. Get involved. If you don't help us, nobody can help you. So, till next time, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare. Hospital.